Whoops. Good afternoon. It is March 22nd, 2022. And today we had a spike in channel up, as you can see. Pretty nice day, especially if you came in here early. It got a little confusing. After we had these two legs of correction and a bounce, I felt like it was a little hard to tell if prices were trying to go lower. But if you had this spike in channel drawn, which you easily could have, you should be good. I didn't see it until just now, and that made me see this trade. But yeah, I mean, even if you didn't see that until now, there were plenty of opportunities. So here's what I saw. Looks like, what time was that? First trade comes right at the open with a failed second entry short. You shouldn't really have any big doubts about that. We had this huge leg up, and we had two legs of correction, it looks like. And this just sets up so well above the EMA. So even though it looks like we're making lower highs or whatever, that's just this leg up, and it's also a second entry long, so that's a great entry. You might look at this as like a almost, I guess you can't really say it's a double bottom. Kind of looks like a double bottom and a first entry, failed second entry here, but I don't think I can mark that with much confidence. So I'm not going to mark that. We break up onto this level of support. You can see it looks a little congested, but you get a first entry, second entry. I would say that's an aggressive entry at that point, but with it setting up below the EMA, I'm not too comfortable with that. But then it also is a higher low. It's just that you're going right into that EMA. But then when we get this failure right here, and it's another test of this price level, I think you got to take that. Plenty of room to these highs, even room to this high right here. But if you don't get in on that, you're going to have to wait a little bit. There is a failure here, but you're going into these highs. It's just a little risky. Maybe if you enter above this bar, but your signal bar has to go below this, so you might consider that. And then we start riding that midline. So no way you would have seen that by this point. And we bounce off this trend channel, working up, which was also a spike in channel. And then we form this pink channel up. And I don't see any way to enter this. This kind of looks like a two-legged pullback. So I definitely was, that's why I marked this pink channel, is because this looks like a two-legged pullback. So you might, if you're feeling yourself, you might really take that. And then we form this level of support, but it doesn't really turn out to be anything. So, you know, we knew the trend was up, and you get this like higher low off the trend channel, but that signal bar is no good, so you can't take that. And it turns out this is just congestion. We get a break. I actually went, or did I? No, I didn't go long here. But I mean, this looks like it's a failed break lower to me, and you would have gotten scalped out, but you can see it immediately goes down and bounces off that midline. And maybe by here, you might have that midline. First entry, failed second entry long. Good setup. This is where I have my target. And I did have my runner right here. But when this broke, or when this one closed outside, I just took like a small, like 1 point, which is too bad because I would have gotten like 5 or 6 points here. Okay, and so notice that that is a break of this channel, and we get a leg up to a new high, and then we get two measured legs of correction. Okay, notice that I'm not going short in here. There is a first failed second entry long right here, but I think that might be like a 4-tick failure. Let's see. Okay, so it's too early, and they trap a bunch of people long and short here. I got trapped going long here. This is a terrible setup, but I was looking at it like, oh, it's a failed failure, and that's the first bad trade I've had in like a week. So yeah, just don't think you're outsmarting anyone. This isn't a failed failure. Mac doesn't even talk about that, so why am I taking that? And then this turns out to be a trend channel, a larger trend channel, and you get a first entry, failed second entry. This sets up pretty darn well, to be completely honest, but I just don't like how far down your entry would be. Maybe if you caught it right here. But I think it's still, I'm just a little too uncomfortable because we're so high up, still making higher lows. But we sell off a little more before we bounce. You get a second entry short, and this just bounced perfectly off my trend channel, and for that reason I'm marking it. But that's you got to be careful. It looks congested. So yeah, but I do think that was a nice setup. And all this is a breakout pullback, but it's with trend, and you know we had this channel confirmed just then, so it looks like a trap. We didn't quite make it to these lows. I just like everything about this, really. And I did mark it blue. You can see it works off of this trend channel. Might be aggressive because you're going into swing highs, new swing highs, but it just set up very well. All too far from the EMA here. We start chopping on both sides. You can see it riding that this trend channel up. But there's some price acceptance here, so it eventually just fizzles out. This turns out to be a range, you can see. And you get a second entry long, and it sets up well with room to like highs, so that's why I like this. You can see 501, and this is 502, so that's just about 5 ticks. And then a sell-off happens again, and then we come down and test this, and I think by now, that's when it bounces here, and then you get a higher low, super bullish bar, so much room back to the EMA. Ride that back to the EMA with a runner. Okay, 94.25, almost over 2 points back to the EMA there. Some price acceptance here at the EMA, probably just trapping more shorts, but there's no setup here. You get a second entry long, so I don't think you would have had that trend channel at that point. This channel, come back, and you get a second entry, no setup, and you get a first failed second entry short. I would say maybe hope to ride it to the top of the channel, but this never triggers. Then you get the higher low. And honestly, this looks like a double bottom, first entry, failed second entry. So maybe ride that to the top of the channel. You might have gotten stopped out right here. But that's a nice move, 05. So you might get 8 points. Then we get a sell-off, and I think this is very close to market close. Yeah, just about 1 o'clock. So you get another bounce right here. You can see that worked, and that's what I saw for today. I hope everyone had a great day, and I will be back tomorrow.